What's going on, everyone? LA Sports back with another video. In this video, I want to touch on a few things involving the Toronto Raptors. As you know, they have re-signed some players, as well as signed some free agents. And you know, I'm going to kind of recap the first 3 games of the summer league. I haven't been super active on YouTube. I've been trying to cover every topic. Just been kind of late on them, a few of them, but in the next few weeks, you know, football season is starting, so it's really going to pick up. And now I'm going to get back into it, posting. I'm going to try to post 3, 4, 5 videos a week. So in the first thing I want to start off with is Khem BIrch, as the Toronto Raptors did re-sign Khem BIrch to a 3-year deal worth $20 million per year. Now, Khem BIrch was a guy who, you know, came to Toronto. And he ended up, you know, having a huge role with us, you know, in the past season. He came in to be our starting center, and he filled that void really, really well, in my opinion. He's not a huge guy. He's only 6'7", but he's big. He weighs 235 pounds. And his split, I'm not going to get into his total stats for the season. I'm going to get into his stats with the Raptors. In 19 games, he averaged 30 minutes a game, averaged 12 points per game, with over 7.5 rebounds per game. So Khem BIrch obviously was very good with the Raptors. He averaged 3 offensive boards per game. He shot the ball well, 56% from the field. He shot 30% from 3, so not terrific, but, you know, for a center, that's, you know, it's not bad. So I think his production was very good, and defensively he was a very good player. Averaged just under a steal and just over a block per game. So overall, I think the Khem BIrch signing is very good. You only have to pay him, you know, under 7, between 6 and 7 million per year. So in my opinion, it makes a lot of sense. It's a nice 3-year deal. He is currently 28 years of age, so this goes until he's 31. I think in terms of the term, it's very good. In terms of the money, it is just perfect for the Toronto Raptors. I think it, you know, really works for them, and for their long-term plans. I think Khem BIrch is obviously part of the long-term plans of the Toronto Raptors, and I would not be surprised if he ends up starting for the Raptors, especially because they didn't sign a center in free agency. So for the Raptors, I think it makes some good sense to bring back Khem BIrch, and I think it's on a very, very, very good you know, term and a very good money amount. The next thing I want to get into is Isaac Bonga, as the Toronto Raptors, they did bring him in. They did sign him. I believe it's a 1-year deal. I have a feeling it's just to kind of compete for a spot on the roster. He's going to be entering his 4th season. He started off with the Lakers, only played 5 minutes a night, averaged just under a point, and then he started 49 games for the Washington Wizards out of 66 played in 2019-2020. He averaged 18 minutes per game, averaged 5 points. So he's not going to give you a lot, and I think that's pretty obvious. He's the type of guy who's going to probably, if he even makes the team, he'll be, you know, on the back end of the second unit. I think it's a very, very minor move for the Raptors, but I think it's something to look out for. I think he's a guy who has potential to make the roster, and he has some nice size. He could play the point guard and the small forward at 6'8". I think is something that's pretty good. So I think it's obviously something to look out for for the Raptors. I think he's a guy who could potentially crack the second unit, and the Raptors have been able to turn a lot of players around. And they've been able to really make guys that, you know, they didn't think had so much potential, or potentially other executives around the league didn't think they have so much potential, and then they end up in Toronto with our terrific development staff, and they turn them into a much better player. So I think that's the situation Isaac Bonga might be, you know, kind of developing into with the Raptors. Another situation I want to get into is Sam Dekker, who is, you know, his situation is very similar to Isaac Bonga. I think they're both going to compete for a spot on the roster. Dekker's a 6'9" power forward. He was a former first-round pick, 18th overall to the Houston Rockets. He is a guy he definitely has potential. In his NBA career, he, hasn't done anything really eye-popping, but in 15 minutes per game over the course of his 5 seasons, he averaged 5.5 points per game. So that's not terrible. It's not good. But I think it's definitely he's a guy who could shoot the ball. He didn't really shoot it very well in his time in the NBA. But when he went over playing in Europe, where he is coming from, I believe Turkey, he really shot the ball well. So I think he's a guy who can definitely make the roster. I think he could potentially bring some shooting to the team, some size at 6'9", 230. He did, like I said, he did play really well in Turkey. He had some great games. He was a big piece to the team he was on, and I think he can potentially make the roster on the Toronto Raptors, like Isaac Bonga, on the back end of the second unit. And he's 27 years of age, so he's not as young as Bonga, but he's definitely somebody that has a tiny bit of potential with the Raptors to make the team, and potentially bring some good options and versatility to the Raptors bench. So I think it's another situation to look out for, as they are bringing in Sam Dekker on a similar situation with Isaac Bonga. It's believed to be a 1-year deal if they even make the Toronto Raptors roster. All right, guys, and the final thing I want to touch on in this video is the Raptors Summer League progression. So I think I really like what I'm seeing right now from this Raptor team. The headlines of the team, the top 3 guys: Malachi Flynn, Precious Achiuwa, and Scottie Barnes. Those are, without a doubt, the best on the team for the Summer League roster. And those 3 guys are leading scorers. They're playing the best out of everyone. And I think it's, really, good to see. One thing that I want to talk about is Ishmael Wright. He's 26 years old. The Raptors, they signed him to a multi-year deal. So it's pretty interesting that it was a multi-year deal. But this guy is playing really terrific in Summer League. In 3 games, he's averaging 10.7 points per game in just 25 minutes. So those are some good numbers. In last night's game, in the win against the Houston Rockets, he had 20 points. He's a guy who could shoot the ball pretty efficiently, pretty well. He's shooting 46% over the 3 games from the field, 46.2% from downtown. He's perfect from the free throw line. He's grabbed 5 rebounds, which is, something the Raptors are lacking. He's 6'5", 235. So he's a pretty big size guy for what he can do. He could shoot the ball at a very good level. So I think he's definitely a guy that will make the Raptors roster. Whether he's going to get a lot of minutes and play, I don't know. He's 26 years of age. He isn't a free agent until 2023. He's going to be a restricted free agent. So I definitely think that he's a guy to look out for. He's been playing very well with the Raptors in the 3 Summer League games, and I think he's someone that a lot of Raptor fans should take a look at and kind of give a chance. As for Malachi Flynn, we know what he brings. We know how good he is for the Toronto Raptors. He's our rookie. He's going into his 2nd year, and he has been just terrific so far for us in the 3 games of the Summer League. He was really good even in the regular season this year for the Raptors in his rookie season. And in the 3 Summer League games, he's averaging 17.5 points per game in 29 minutes. And he's, shooting 45% from downtown, 42% from the field. So we know what we're going to get in Malachi Flynn. The next guy, Precious Achiuwa. I mean, absolutely unbelievable. We all knew, he's a terrific player. We know that he has so much potential. But last night he had a 19 and 11 double-double. He's averaging 16 and 8 in the 2 games he played. He, of course, missed the one because of, I believe it was some sort of injury. But Precious Achiuwa, he's shooting 50% from three, 62% from the field. He has just been terrific for the Raptors. I think he's going to be a guy who is one of the biggest guys on the Raptors bench unit this season. He's going to be, I would say, the seventh guy, the seventh man, and I think he's going to really, really be important for this Raptors team. And I think he's a guy to really look out for, as I think he's going to be a really good player in this league, and in my opinion, he's going to be an all-star in years to come. A few more players I want to touch up on. Of course, the Raptors' 4th overall pick, Scottie Barnes. In terms of his offense, he hasn't been really, really good. His first game, I believe he had 18 points. That was very good. But he's averaging 13 points in the 3 games. But one thing that really stands out of Scottie Barnes is his rebounding. He's averaging 7.3 rebounds per game, and his defense has been off the charts. He's averaging a steal per game, 2 blocks per game. I believe he had 4 or 5 blocks last night. So he is, really, really, really a really good defender, versatile player. Like, the Raptors, I believe that's, the main reason they drafted him. Shooting 25% from 3 in the 3 games. I think that's something the Raptors are going to develop him into be a better three-point shooter. Delano Blanton, the Raptors' 2nd-round pick, he's playing very well, in my opinion. He's playing 18 minutes a game. He's averaging 8 points per game, 6 rebounds a game. So he's a guy who's bringing the Raptors some size and some rebounding, which is something that we really lacked. I think he could potentially play in some games for the Raptors. You obviously don't hope for injuries, but, should there be injuries, I think he's a guy who could step in and play, a little bit of a bigger role for the team. But, to start off, maybe he gets a few minutes a night, but don't expect him to play too much. Definitely not in his rookie season, but I think it's really good what we're seeing from him. As for the other 2nd-round pick of the Raptors, David Johnson, he's averaging 6 points per game and 16 minutes a night in the summer league. He's not a guy who's going to play a lot, but he potentially has potential to be a guy who's going to play for the Raptors and be a really, he's got a pretty bright future based off what we're seeing, what we've heard on him from college. So I think he's a guy to look out for in future years for the Raptors. Jayla Adams and Matt Morgan, though, these two guys in the summer league have been very good. As for Adams, he's averaging 15 points per game, averaging 7.5 points per game, 15 minutes per game. Matt Morgan averaging 12 minutes per game and 7 points per game. So these two guys, are guys who potentially, have a shot at cracking the roster. They're both pretty young. I think they could definitely be, if anything, they could be guys who are, who end up being reserves. But Matt Morgan's 23 years old. Jalen Adams is 25 years old. So I think these guys still have some time to kind of get better and, prove themselves on this Raptors roster. But that's all I got in this video, guys. I just wanted to kind of go over, quite a bit of topics. Khem BIrch, Isaac Bonga, and Sam Dekker, as well as the Summer League, the progression of this team. It was a pretty long video. Sorry for dragging it along for so long. But let me know what you guys think of all these topics for the Toronto Raptors. And what do you think about their development of both their draft picks and the guys they just brought in, whether undrafted free agents or guys they just signed in this offseason. You guys let me know what you think, and as always, please leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you guys are new. We'll see you guys all in the next video.